Welcome to the Josh Loss Podcast. It's all about comedy, music, fashion, entrepreneurship, and the culture. I'm here with my special guest today.
White Black Boy, also known as Elemental Black.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
um, Mainly, I'm right now. I wear many different hats. That's why the name. Well, White Black Moore is my name. I'm right under my author name, pen name. Also known as Elemental Black. For years, I did these T-shirts with poems on the back of them, with an image on the front and a poem on the back. So people just started calling me Elemental Black because the name of my line was Elemental Apparel. But that's my main thing, being an entrepreneur, running my own t-shirt line. I have delved off into some different areas of fashion too. But writing, I love writing poetry or fiction novels. That's my main things.
Where you from?
I'm Chicagoite. I'm Chicagoan. I grew up in a lot of places, but my main place is home. Is Ida B. Wells. Was Ida B. Wells when it was existing. Extensions. That's what gave me my. That was my college. That was my college. Yeah. So low end dude, Ida B. Wells. But I got much love for other parts of the city too. It's all Chicago love.
Okay. So let me ask you another thing. Who inspired you to become an author?
Um, Believe it or not, I grew up as a reader. I used to read a lot. We didn't have TVs and stuff when I was growing up. We was really poor, so we had books though. So I did grow up in some households where they believed in education, so it was books everywhere. So I would read a lot, and eventually I ended up bumping into some Donald Goines books at an early age, and they kind of opened my eyes like I never had seen before, because for the first time I was seeing people that looked like me or that I knew. The first book I ever read by Donald Goines was called Dope Fiend, and I remember that this looked like one of the dope fiends being described in the book looked like my auntie. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember, like it was so vivid. Like wow. And I love the way he told stories. He told these. He never really glamorized stuff. He just gave it how it was, and that's really how growing up in the ghetto and projects, and that's really is. It's not nothing to glamorize, but it is what it is. So I liked his writing style, and just as I read more and more, I always decided I had a talent for being able to tell stories of my own, which I thought was I was going to be a rapper early on. That's when I grew up with the beginning of hip hop. I'm that old, so when everybody wanted to be a rapper initially, but I would be writing these long ass raps. Like, no, this ain't really, let me find something else to do. And I just had I had a good talent for telling stories, so I just started wanting to put something down on paper. And man, I actually wrote my first manuscript years ago, like for real. And I don't even want to talk about the circumstances I wrote it under, but I wrote it, and it took me a while, but I ended up getting it published, with a major publishing house, like through my travels. So that was like the inspiration for me wanting to write was Donald Goines, and then eventually after him, Robert Beck. But people know him as Iceberg Slim. I love his writing style too. It was so descriptive.
Okay. So what was your favorite book to read?
My favorite book, believe it or not, is named Horse Son. It's about Donald Goines. It's about a guy who was the son of a prostitute, and she named him Horse Son. And just he had this crazy journey. Because I'm a child of the 70s, so in the 70s, growing up in the ghetto, there really were pimps, there really were the dope fiends, and everything was right there and kind of in front of your face, the stuff that's legendary. So I just loved that book, so I would read that book over and over. Horse Son, I also loved the Robert Iceberg Slim autobiography, Pimp, the Story of My Life. And my favorite book by him is called Mama Black Widow. It's a really tripped out book. So even one of my books, Heartless, is a tribute to Heartless is a tribute to Mama Black Widow. Just about being a family and growing up in Chicago, just being a family in Chicago and just watching how the city kind of will eat you, will eat your young. Like, believe it or not, well, that's a common story. We know plenty of families that, this city that ate their young, so yeah, those are my favorites.
So how did writing books change your life?
It took me places I never would have thought I'd ever been. Initially, when I was signed to Random House in the early part of my career, man, I just slept in the Watergate Hotel, bro. Like, I've been on tour, book tours, and never go on tour though. on your dime. Man, I've been all over. I've been in full-page articles and papers like New York Times, like for doing something I love to do, but also it's allowed me to. I've been able to teach creative writing for 20 years. I've worked in so many aspects with so many youth, which is one of my passions, to be able to work with the young people, and because of writing. And not only just writing books, but writing poetry. I've been places. I've been able to feed my family. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed myself. I've had a good life, because of being able to write something. Being able to tell a story, being able to articulate or voice my opinion or my thoughts.
What makes a good author?
Attention to detail. What I remember about, I read Dope Fiend. I had to be about 10 years old, I want to say. So we talking about over 40 years ago. And I remember that book to this day because I was reading a passage and it was so vivid that it made me retch. Like, retch is when you're about to throw up, but you're not nothing coming up. Like reading something that it was described that well, it was that vivid. Just reading something gave me a physical reaction. Like, I've had some of the roughest dudes, and I'm talking about dudes was in jail reading my stuff, come home like, man, Joe, man, I was in my cell, man, reading your book, it had me crying, or like, people that walked up on me, man, why you kill so-and-so in your book, man, you need to figure out a way to bring him back, or we got a problem. Like, people threatening me. Like, one of my guys said, like, like a couple of guys got stabbed over my books. One of the books came up missing, and like they sent it up over the book, but what I'm saying is being able to describe something that's so good that you think, that you feel like you're there, that you feel like I'm right there in the page, because I try to pull you in. I don't try not to write real flowery, or like what they call American prose, where American prose has just these a lot of words, but I kind of try to get straight to the point. But I want you to know, if somebody had on a blue shirt, I want to give you details. I'm being descriptive. I want you to be able to see as you're reading. You should see a movie, and people tell me that, man, I see this in my head when I'm reading it, and then that, to me, that's what makes a good author. That's my opinion.
From that point on, hey, I want to ask you, like, do you have plans to turn your books into movies?
Well, I've written some stuff. There's a couple of screenplays out there floating. One was even sold and had went into production for a movie, but they kind of fell through on the funding. But I got some stuff being shopped around by all this. My last manager said I'm in a tripped out position. He said, because I write too good for certain stuff, and then I don't write the way. So, in other words, I write too good for just the Tubi movies and stuff, and I'm not knocking that, because that's a great format. I actually appreciate what they're doing with Tubi, because that's a chance to get out here and get your stuff out here. But the way he was trying to put it, because some of them look down on Tubi, but I don't. I think it's dope that you're able to get your stuff out here. He was saying, when you write too good for this and not well enough for the big people to come looking for you, for the MGMs and the new lines or whatever. So it's just a matter of finding the perfect fit and, you know, whatever, man. You know, I mean, some stuff, everything will work the way it's gonna work. I think you just do your work and you try and make the connections, and sometimes you don't make the connections. Sometimes you miss the bus. You know what I'm saying? You gotta stand your ass there and wait on the next one. You know what I'm saying? Or get to walking. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
What year did you start writing?
Man, I started writing professionally. Really, I'm considered started writing about '96.
96.
But that was just really just writing. I started writing poetry a lot because for a while, another one of my personas was just black as a poet. I used to do performance poetry, what they call spoken word. So for a while, I traveled around and did that. It was kind of cool. I still got a lot of love for the spoken word community. Some good people, some of my good friends, and still involved in doing that thing. Yeah, it's been a long while. I've been writing I've been writing longer than that, but professionally, I want to say I started about like 96.
It's a good year.
Yeah.
Where have you traveled with your books to?
Man, I've been in a few places. One place I've never been is like Texas or nothing, but like doing book tours, just doing sales. I've been pretty much, I've been a lot of places. You know what I'm saying? I ain't been to the West Coast in some years. I ain't been to the West Coast. That was my second book tour. I ain't been there in some years, but I don't know, just regular places: LA, New York, Philly, Baltimore, the Virginia places in Virginia. Just running around East, Midwest, St. Louis, the Minnesotas, I ain't never been to Iowa neither.
Oh yeah, Iowa.
Ohio. So I've been to,
Who would you like to collaborate with on a book? You got that chance to.
On a book, I always wanted to do an anthology. I'm looking for the money to do it. I'm looking for a grant because I want to be able to pay people. I just want Chicago authors, everybody. I want to just be able to turn in like a good list of Chicago authors and pay each of them for their story, pay each of them for their words, and still be able to give them like a chunk of published books where they can go sell. And I'm not trying to get any royalties from the sale of their book, but I do want to create, that would create a legacy, you know what I'm saying? That would create a legacy, but yeah, so just I want Chicago authors, and the Chicago authors I really can get really funny sometimes because I love when I'm going to these book shows or whatever, and I don't really walk around and say I'm this or I'm that, but you could be talking to an author and they, acting like, you're the little guy. And yes, well, I have my book out. It's on this platform and that platform. You'd be like, oh man, that's cool, right? You're like, that's dope. So, you walk off, go set your table up. Now they come walk by your table like, hold on, you wrote all these? Yeah. So. Yeah. So, but one thing I do, like I said, we come from the place we come from is really hard to make it in anything. Because the minute you do anything, there's so many other people that's gonna run and do it. It's gonna support you. That's just the nature of the beast. So, if you do something instead of somebody saying, man, let's pump him up, get him where he's going, and then now there's a market. I can do that. I'm gonna do it, and then a lot of times they don't even know what it takes to do it all the way. They're just doing something. So, yeah. But like I said, I want to work with some Chicago authors, but just trying to give them some. I a book for the bookshelves that what people really have own in their home. I have a book. I have two anthologies of black authors just from all over. It's older, but I want to see a more modern version of that. You know, with Chicago authors.
Okay. What is a good TV show or podcast to watch for writers?
For rappers.
No, for writers that want to write to become an author.
Oh, I don't know exactly for writers, but I do know it's a lot of information out there. One thing about information is you still got to do your own research. You still got to see what works for you. Everybody formula don't work for you. Just begin to pay attention to people's styles and don't worry so much about finding their style, but just pay attention to what they, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like a basketball game. So if he got a nice crossover, that don't mean you gotta have the exact same crossover, but it's good to have one in your repertoire. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I listen to different people, but I don't know anybody that's directly for writing. But I will say, I do love to hear, I do love linguistics, language. I do love to hear just, I forgot the name of people that love to hear dialects. I forgot the name of that word, but I love to hear different dialects, different accents. So it's good to listen to all type of stuff. But find yourself. Don't look at anybody's copies. Find who you are, where your style is.
What are the best stores to have your books in?
That's really hard right now, believe it or not. The mom and pop stores don't exist on the level they used to. Borders and those, a lot of that stuff that went out of business. I remember just having book signings all over the countries and Borders. Like that used to be one of the big things. Borders, and Barnes and Noble. I remember walking in the store. It used to feel so good to walk in the store and see a stack of your books sitting in the store.
That's a good feeling.
But right now, the main thing is everything's digital. Believe it or not, everything's digital, everything's internet, is pushing, market promoting on the internet. You can send people to one place that you want the direct to consumer pipeline has changed a lot of things. They're putting a lot of book companies out of a lot of publishing houses have been put out of business because everything has changed so much. Where I do way better. Selling my stuff on my own. I make more money. I create my own clientele. I don't worry about who's marketing me or market yourself. And even if somebody has your career, still do your own stuff too. Still make sure you're making your own moves. But as far as any one store, like if there's a little mom and pop store that'll take some of your books, that's cool too. But how much traffic do they have?
Right.
So there's been times I done put 10 books over here in this little store and show up a month later, 10 books still there, Oh boy, so now you doing marketing. Oh, you looking for copies? Man, go up to this store. So. I went up to the store and bought somebody else's book.
So is it best to go independent or go with a company?
I think always, even if you're with a company, make sure that your deal is the best you can get for you. The companies help because they have a wider reach than say I would, right? But the problem with that, because with me being signed to a major, I really understand the problem. I remember fighting with the people with the publishing company at Random House about just minuscule things like, and I'm going, why won't y'all listen to me? It was like so ridiculous. It's a bunch of college kids from New York sitting there telling you about a street book from Chicago. Like that was so crazy to me, bro. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I was involved in certain endeavors during those days, so I'm able to stand on what I'm saying.
Right.
So I think you just gotta find your space. And even if you do sign to somebody, a lot of times it's not a bad thing because sometimes you could put you in places you weren't already, put you in rooms you weren't already, get some money behind your project, but it could be the flip side is if somebody don't believe in your product, you can get shelved easily. you can get people that just want to control the product and have their own vision for what you've done, and now, but you've been to a contract, so ain't nothing you can do about it. The whole cover of my book ain't supposed. The whole cover of this book ain't supposed to look. This is a book about a gang in Chicago that I created, but it's a man on the front of the book with his chest out. What the fuck?
Yeah, that doesn't go.
And I'm fighting with these people about that. So even when I'm telling them, man, well, don't sexy him up, like grind him up a little bit, put a hat on his head, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, put him a chain on, and put him a bullet wound, a little scar or something. We right now we're trying to appeal to the women and but it's not just a woman book, bro.
Right.
So that's the problem where if you're dealing with a company that doesn't really understand your product, that's a big problem. But there are good situations because some people don't want to do the work. Some people don't, because once again, after my first 3 books, I self-published. So I became everything. Now I'm marketing, promotion, distribution. I'm everything. You know what I'm saying? I gotta write. I gotta find my own editor. I gotta do everything. You know, I design covers. I've done all type of stuff. So that it depends on how you work. You know, that's what I was saying.
So what is your vision for your books for the future?
Well, right now, a lot of my stuff, when I'm missing, I'm at 11. My 11th, one of my other books isn't here, but what I've been doing lately, my last books have been these smaller books. These are called young adult books or teen books because they have the same situations or whatever that the other books have, but there's no sex in them, there's no cursing. And also they have what's called they're also called social emotional learning questions in the back of them. So currently, some of these books are being taught in different programs in different high schools and in literacy programs. So that's been my last thing for my last few books. I got another book missing called To Live and Die in Chirac. But the main thing is I kind of like that more because the audience is younger that we're dealing with. We're able to go into the schools. I'm able to work with children and young adults and literacy programs and at-risk teens or underserved teens. We able to send books to little cats that's being detained. You know, little cats in the naughty home, what they call juvenile detention center. Or, you know, young dudes sitting in the county or whatever, sitting in prisons or whatever. So we got a different kind of ministry almost with the young adult books. So that's kind of really fun to me. So even though they're reading for the sport, I'm still trying to make sure they get something out of it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's my main thing right now.
What advice can you give to the up and coming authors?
Man, one person telling you no shouldn't stop your show. Often people say, man, first of all, if you're gonna be a writer, write. So it's people been telling me for 20 years, I'm gonna write a book, and I literally only know 1 or 2 that have done it. Literally. You actually one of the people that have done it that said you were gonna do it. You and Daisha, another friend of mine named Daisha. Well, I've seen their actual copies, they have actual books. So you gotta write. If you're gonna be a writer, write. You gotta put words on a page. I don't care if it's on your phone, I don't care if it's on a laptop, on the handwritten, you gotta put words on a page if you are a writer. So when you study saying, I'm gonna write, well, people stop listening to you because you haven't done anything. So you gotta go put some words on a page and just try to find yourself, try to find your voice, try to find your style. And just don't worry about all the people always first of all, writing and what we do is an art. That means that once you completed the masterpiece, you may make $1 million or you may not make a damn penny, but you completed the art.
Yes.
I said I was gonna write books. So if I never make a dime, I made the books. I completed the task. Now we all want some money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Money makes the world go round. You know, it's fun being able to open the refrigerator. It's something in there you can make you a cold cut sandwich or whatever. So you definitely want some money, but money to me isn't the only reason when I would do something. I make art for the sake of being dope, for the sake of this is what I wanted to create. You know, when I'm writing all these books, this is in my head. This whole world is in this book is in my head. Whatever book I'm working on, that whole world stays in my head to the last page of the book. And I want to get that out on paper because I want my reader, a person who loves a Why Black More book, to pick up this book and go, oh man, you snapped on this one too, bro. Well, I ain't like this one as much as that one, but oh man, this was the best one I ever had. You know, all that. That's what I'm writing for, not just for you to give me some money. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there are people that just do that, and that's cool. That's it. That's how you get ahead. I'm cool, but that's not how I do it. But my thing is, if you're gonna write, you're gonna say you're right, you have to write.
Right.
You got to write.
Do you still have the same energy to write when you started?
It's dissipated some, but simply because I don't want to get to the point where I'm telling the same story over and over. Just put a different title on it. That's what happens when you're just trying to churn out books and just make as many books as possible. You will find yourself, and I've read people's stuff, and I'm going, man, this ain't real familiar. And all the time, it's just really ain't writing the same book over and over. They're just changing the names and you're changing the character names and then the title. So yeah, I can't. Yeah, it's got to be some stuff dissipate. It's got to lessen after a while because your passion for it will lessen, but that don't mean your love for it lessens. Like your passion, like I gotta go write. I don't feel that anymore because I don't even have a book that I'm writing. Like I just finished my last. What I feel like is my last book, my 12th book that I said I was gonna finish, and so with me having completed my task, it's like leaving work. You know what I'm saying? You go home and chill. You know what I'm saying? So I'm in chill mode, and there's time to, and it's time to do other stuff too. It really is. I got so much other programming that I've written. I got other screenplays to finish. I was working on a series with somebody, but every time we start talking about the money, the conversations break up. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
so it's other stuff I have to be doing. I have to do too.
So how can you make money with books?
You know what I mean? It's not this huge. Unless you have a huge name as a celebrity initially, it's not really this huge market like people think it is. Unless you really get a book that really catches fire, and then also people realizing we're living in a digital age, so books don't make as much money as they used to. So it gotta be some stuff that you're doing for the love of it, but there are avenues. You got to make sure that you're on the major sites, that you are getting your books distributed. You got to go to all the trade shows. Like it's authors I know that really have real names, and they still like real cool dude is Quan out of New York, man. I love that guy, man. Real cool. He always show nothing but love, smooth dude. But Quan been at this for decades, and you will catch him at the smallest book fair to the biggest book fair selling books. So you gotta go sell books, you gotta go shake hands. What they say, you gotta kiss hands and shake babies, man. You gotta go do it. You gotta keep it's a constant process, and you still may never get that Harry Potter money. You still may never, especially if you write from a niche. We're a niche, like black writers, a lot of times we're niche writers. I write, my books are all centered in Chicago. I don't write for any other place. I just don't. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure I could, but this is the place I love and I've been and I focus on. And I don't. This is a huge city. This is millions of stories to tell, and I'm only telling. This is only my 12th story I've told out of millions of stories. So, it's like. There's really money to be made, but it's just always it's levels. Everything doesn't sell as much. Like I pretty much could not miss my projects and make the same money that say a Harry Potter book would make ever. It never happened, and that's okay with me because this was my story, not Harry Potter.
Right.
Now, if I ever have the idea for something Harry Potter-esque, you know what I'm saying, that comes to me, I'm putting it down. Like I've been looking in my head for some old science fiction, Star Wars fiction, fantasy shit. You know what I'm saying? And I can I would put a whole different name on it and sell it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay.
so that's not a problem as long as I get to tell a story and it's dope. You know.
Would you rather turn your books into TV series, or just have them all just straight movies?
I think it'd be hard to do much more harder. I think it'd be harder to do a series because I write my endings. I don't write just with an open end where I really leave stuff really open. Like there's rarely a book of mine that doesn't end. So I don't know how it would. I think it would take some hard work to try and make it a series. But I mean, anything can be done. But if you sit down with the right time and right motivation, you know what I'm saying. So.
So, well, let everybody know where can they find you at.
Initially, the best thing, I'm for the killers. I ain't gonna kill them over cow. Why Blackmore, my website, www.whyblakmore.com. That's the best place to find my books. You can also contact me on Facebook and Instagram under the same name, Why Blackmore. Those are the main ways to contact me.
Are you on X or like Snapchat, Thread,
I'm on
Patreon?
X, but I don't do nothing. I have a hard enough time keeping up with my Facebook, man. To keep it real with you, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's so much distracting energy on that stuff, man. You really get to the point sometimes. I mean, depending on your energy and depending on how you deal with things, you got to block out the noise sometimes. So yeah, I don't really do that. So I don't even be on the ground like that. You catch me on Facebook.
So how many books do you have all together?
11. 11 published. I'm missing one, and I got one about when I finish my editor. My wife is my editor right now. She's busy studying for her doctorate, so she hasn't been able to edit lately, and I'm not mad at that. You know what I'm saying? So my 12th one will be out. I want to say early next year. We're gonna shoot for early next year. My 12th.
Definitely, I appreciate you coming on the podcast, and once again, let them know where they can find you at.
I appreciate you having me. You want to check me out? You know a little bit about me. Maybe order you a book. Go to my website www.whyblackmore BLAKmore.com, or check me out on Facebook. Why Blackmore. Check me out on Instagram, Why Blackmore. That's the easiest way.
Peace.